In March 2020, Iran became the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic outside China. The government hushed up the news for a while, and after 2 deaths in the holy city of Qom from the disease, they had to admit it. But already the virus had spread all over the country. Suddenly, Iran's leaders faced two separate fights, one to save the economy from the US sanctions, and the other to save lives and the economy from the pandemic. In May 2018, the Trump administration withdrew the US from the Iran nuclear deal, known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and imposed the harshest sanctions ever imposed on a country under the campaign called Maximum Pressure. Since then, Iran's economy has been a disaster. Oil exports dive. The currency lost 2/3 of its value. GDP has declined by 11%, and average living standards have declined by 13%, in addition to inflation and microeconomic chaos. Then came the pandemic, which caught Iran not only its weakest economic state since the end of the war with Iraq 3 decades ago, but health and education. In this video, we mention some examples of the effects of COVID on the education system in Iran.
Like many other countries hit by the COVID-19 outbreak, Iran has closed schools and universities and converted to online learning. But in a country with widespread poverty and some regions with no internet coverage, some students are locked out of virtual classrooms. In the southern part of Tehran, the capital city of Iran, or in the private area of Iran, where low-income families live, people don't even have the most basic sanitary material. They cannot afford a tablet or smartphone for their children, or most of them only have one smartphone at home, and it belongs to their father, mother, or siblings, and the whole family must share it. On the other hand, some families have a smartphone at home, but they don't have an internet connection or only have very limited access to the internet. The internet is a luxury for many families there that they cannot afford. The only alternative for students who couldn't afford a tablet or couldn't go to school was to attend classes on television. Still, the authorities did not take the idea seriously enough. In the underdeveloped province of Iran, such as Sistan and Balochistan, teachers prefer to hold classes in the open air to reduce the chance of infection instead of online courses. But holding classes outside is possible in regions where the weather is warm, but is not feasible in a colder area. At the same time, high-income families in large cities have the best facilities for online learning, such as the latest version of tablet, smartphone, and high-speed internet, and high-technology schools with professional teachers. This problem caused a huge gap between rich and poor families in Iran in online education.
Lack of access to remote programs because of COVID-19 pandemic increased child marriage in Iran. Since girls can be legally married at age 13 and younger with the consent of the father or male guardian. Miss Akrami, a teacher in a village near the city of Bojnur in North Khorasan province, says that anything that takes away the opportunity from girls to go to school becomes an excuse to marry them off as young as 9 years old. Also, Ms. Akrami mentions that if the remote programs could be accessed by all students in the education system, we could reduce discrimination in many regions. But instead, lack of access has created greater discrimination and left many students depressed because they are becoming aware of this situation and they know that they will not be able to continue their education. Another major reason of child marriage is the economic crisis because of COVID-19 pandemic. The economic crisis in Iran has been increased and poor families were struggling to take care of their children. So this situation started to increase the number of child marriage in Iran. Over 54,500 teenage girls were officially married in Iran. As marriageable age is defined as 13 for girls, it is defined as 15 for boys. While child marriage is increasing in Iran, teenage girls are facing lack of access to education and career opportunities.
Desperation increases among deprived students. On October 10, 2020, 11-year-old Mohammed Musaida had committed suicide due to the fact that he did not have any sort of device or technology to complete his online homework. In this article, there is a quote from this boy's father, Adele, that says that I bought my son a mobile phone so he could do his school homework until it broke. And I promised to get him a new one at the first opportunity. The mother, Fatima, said Mohammed was in 5th grade. He was smart and good student. But with this coronavirus situation, he needed a smartphone for his classes and lessons. The only phone we had at home was broken and Mohammed could not submit his homework. It was a tough situation. He wanted a phone from us so he could study without being bothered. Mohammed's parents had struggled to provide their child with a phone to complete his schoolwork due to the COVID striking in Iran. Lessons and schoolwork have been done online and Mohammed could not complete his schoolwork, which led him to commit suicide.
Mani, a 14-year-old student in the city of Pave, Kurdistan province, had become a human courier carrying goods on the border of Iran and Iraq to earn money to be able to buy a phone for his schoolwork. On November 10th, 2020, he slipped from a mountain and was severely injured. Another tragic incident that occurred was on September 14th, 2020. A 9-year-old Mustafa went on top of a mountain near his village in the South Khorasan province to get a stable Wi-Fi connection and be able to download school material, but he fell and was seriously injured in his eye. Next. A member from CHRI named Ms. Akrami said even if some students in rural areas and small towns could afford a phone or tablet, that there's the issue of internet availability, which is a problem in many parts of the country. This shows what students in Iran go through to receive a proper education. They're risking their lives to try to have proper education, whether it is severely injuring them or killing them, and this is not right. Next. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching our presentation, and I hope we taught you something, and feel free to ask any questions. Thank you.